Anxiety. Anxiety! Hey fighters, Sean here with Know the Fight. This week we're still talking about anxiety. Ooh. I feel like anxiety is the one thing that's not talked about enough, and at some points talked about a whole lot. I guess it depends on what circles that you kind of run in. People with anxiety, people who get in groups with people who have anxiety, are the most understanding people you'll ever meet for in your life, because they know what it feels like to be looked at as if you were insane because you can't complete a sentence, a task, you can't get out of bed, you can't make a phone call, you can't do things that normally you'd be able to do. I'll tell you what, I'm not dumb enough to sit here and lecture people about anxiety because I don't understand it enough, and I'm not going to dabble in something that I do not understand. But what I will do is talk about the words I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine is a frustrating phrase because I'm fine is cloaked in I'm not okay, please help, everything's burning. I'd say 99% of the time, you're not fine. Why do we even say that? Why do we even say that? Well, it's rhetorical because number one, this is a recording and you can't answer. And number two is because it's the easiest answer. You don't want to lie and say, I'm great, because you're not. You don't want to say, oh, everything's horrible, because then they're like, oh, here we go, Debbie Downer, back at it again. So you let them off the hook and say, I'm fine. And so my question really is today is, why don't we talk about anxiety? Is it because it brings up so much anxiety just to talk about anxiety? Is it because we don't know how to talk about it? Leave the comments below telling me what you think, because I don't have the answers, I just have the questions, okay? I tell you why I think somebody responds with, I'm fine. Because they're letting the other person off the hook. Because they know they don't want them to sit there and talk about and listen to them talk about how they can't quite put the finger on why they feel so anxious or why they feel the way that they do. And because anxiety usually comes out as rambling. I'm anxious because of this, because of this, because of this, because of this, which leads to that. So many things are entangled in anxiety that it's hard to really narrow it down. So we just let the other person off saying, no, I'm fine. From my understanding, fine stands for frustration, irritation, negative, and emotional. So when somebody says, I'm fine, they're describing pretty much how they're feeling, but in the disguise of a passive comment. So how are we going to help other people if we settle for them saying, I'm fine? Because if you look at them, you most likely can't tell that they have anxiety. But if you know them, you can. I remember there was this young lady, Michaela, she was passing by. We're doing children's ministry, and children's ministry, man, there's no time to breathe because there are 300 little kids wanting attention, wanting to learn about Jesus, and also they want as many fruit snacks as possible. All right, so in this time that we're supposed to be dancing and singing and changing class and cleaning up and changing diapers and all this stuff, Michaela was doing praise and worship for the kids. So she was dancing and she was doing all the motions and stuff, and she had a smile on her face, and I'm watching her and I'm like, there's something off. Nothing she's doing is saying there's something off, but I knew for a fact that there was. So she comes back to the very end of where children's ministry is. We crossed paths, and I said, how you doing? She says, I'm fine. And I stopped her. I said, no, how are you doing? Tears welled up in her eyes. And she says, I'll have to talk to you about it later. But in that moment, the tears wasn't of frustration, wasn't of annoyance. It was somebody sees me drowning, and I honestly believe they want to help. Because if she didn't feel that way whenever I brought it up, then she would have just responded the same, no, I'm fine. Because she couldn't trust me with that emotion. She couldn't trust me with her anxiety. She couldn't trust me with her frustration. So when you don't know somebody, you have no idea. So I understand the word fine because they don't know you. So why would you tell them your deepest, darkest secrets? I'm not saying you make them talk, but you give them another opportunity to open up. And if they shut you down again, just wait, mark it. Okay, got shut down. And that's fine. Don't feel bad about it. Don't get angry and upset because they're not going to trust you with the most raw emotion that they're going to have at this point in time. Understand that you have work to do to earn that trust. So I want to talk about these 3 things real quick that I've seen my bride struggle with, as well as other friends with anxiety. These 3 things I really wish that we would stop doing. Number 1, we've already talked about it, saying I'm fine. Don't let it slide by without just a checkup, a check-in, something that says, I'm going to go just a little bit further to let you know that you're not alone. Number 2, stop accepting I'm sorry and tell them you have nothing to be sorry about. That's why we're here. That's when their life starts to get a little bit brighter because they have somebody else on their team. And number 3, I'm broken. Don't let them say I'm broken, because they're not broken. It's a struggle. It's part of life that they're dealing with. This part of their life is just like the part of your life that you don't want to talk about. It might not be anxiety, but it might be another addiction. It might be almost getting divorced. It might be marital issues. It might be parenting issues, things that you don't want to talk about, because if you do, somebody will look at you different. I want to leave you with this. Sasha described anxiety to me. She said, it's like you're on a deserted small island and there's a hurricane on its way. The winds are pelting you, wave after wave is crashing onto you, and the only thing you have is this one tree to hold on to, or you feel like you're about to be whisked away into this mass ocean and that tree is dying. And for somebody to feel like that even for a second and still continue in this life with faith, encouragement, and acceptance of others, as well as to speak life into others, those people deserve medals. Because I know for a fact it's hard to do it whenever you feel fine, and for them to do it whenever they feel that kind of panic, that kind of anxiety. Not all heroes wear capes.